Okay, welcome to, get this right, Algebra 1, Semester 1, Unit 1 Study Guide. This is for your Chapter 1 test. If you go down through these terms and you just list A, B, C, D, clear down, they're matched up 1-to-1. Please be studying how your brain remembers vocab the best. Play with it, each unit, try a different thing, see what works. Perfect it and figure that out, but you need to spend about 15 minutes a night through the whole unit studying. Following order of operations. We do parentheses first, so 5 plus 7 is 12, 3 minus 12, that is -9. If you need specific instruction on these, then make sure and go to the lesson that I taught. This is the very first lesson. When we're multiplying integers, we have the same sign. The answer will be positive, so that's a plus 45. Here we go. The parentheses, we have a -8 and a -2. I sometimes switch that to an addition problem. It's -8 plus -2. The signs are the same, so we add them. That would become -10. Now we have a -35 minus a -10. This is like a -1 times -10. Order of operations is that we would multiply that first, so it's a -35 plus 10. Signs are opposite when we're adding and subtracting. The signs are opposite, we subtract them, and then we give it the sign farthest from 0, so it's a -25. Signs are opposite, we're multiplying, so it's a -56. On fractions, go back to the first video if you need some help. When we're adding or subtracting fractions, we have to, that's just number 1 and 2, we have to have a common denominator. Common denominator for 3 and 4 would be 12. That's what they both go into, the lowest number. 3 times 4 is 12, so we need to take 2 times 4. Plus 4 times 3 is 12, so we have to take 1 times 3. And I just ask that you write the denominator once so that you're not tempted to add it. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 times 3 is 3 over 12. 8 plus 3 is 11 over 12. There's our answer. These fractions, 5 and 6, the lowest number that they'll both go into would be 30. So 5 times 6 is 30, we have to take 4 times 6, minus 6 times 5 is 30, 5 times 5 is 25, but that should be shown as 5 times 5. So we have 4 times 6 is 24, 5 times 5 is 25, all over 30, which equals a -1 over 30. Okay. In multiplying, we just multiply straight. We can reduce before we multiply, or we can reduce afterwards. I'll show you both. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 3 is 12. That reduces. 6 goes into both of these. 6 goes into 6 once. 6 goes into 12 twice, so it's 1/2. Our other option is to reduce back here. 2 goes in there once. 2 goes in there twice. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 3 once. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 1 is 2. Either way will get you the right answer. Dividing, first step is skip the first, switch that to multiply, and flip the second. So we say skip, flip, and multiply. Okay? So now we multiply straight. 3 times 4 is 12. 5 times 5 is 25. Now, some of you might say, well, what, couldn't we cancel the 5s? Couldn't we reduce? No, you can only reduce when it's top to bottom. So that prevents us from reducing there. Convert the percent to a decimal. I want you to rewrite it, showing that 18% means 18 per 100. And then go ahead and divide by 100, which means you take that decimal point and move it 2 to the left, so it becomes 0.18. 3 over 100, we have to move it 2 places to the left, so we need to pick up a 0 to show that. It's 0.03. 150 over 100, truly divided by 100 is 1.5. 0.4 divided by 100, well, we still have to move that decimal over 2 places, so we need to pick up 2 zeros on that one. So those are all the answers. Okay, we're looking for the perimeter and the area. You need formulas for each of those. So in this, make sure that you show me the formula. Perimeter, remember I wrote it with the great big word rim in class, and we drew around the rim of our desk. It's the distance around the rim. So if it's 1.5 here and 1.5 there, you would add those together, and 6 and 6. The formula is 2 times the width plus 2 times the length, or you could do 2 times the width plus length in a quantity. So 2 times the width, 1.5 times 2 would be 3, and 2 times 6 would be 12. So we have a perimeter of 15 inches. Do not be tempted to square that measurement, because it's truly just being measured along like that. Now with area, we take the width times the length, so we have 1.5 times 6, or you could have left it as 1.5. 1.5 times 6 will be 15 inches squared. Okay. I'm sorry. That is wrong. I was doing that in my head and thinking that 1 times 6 plus 3, being half of 6, would be 15, but I was actually doing 2 times 6. 1 times 6 is 6, and then a half of 6 again. The 3 plus 6 would be 9. Or you can actually multiply 6 times 1.5 and not do it in your head and be safe. Carry the 3, 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9, bringing your decimal point. Sorry about that. I like to make mistakes on here so I don't edit them off. You guys get to see my human side too. Want you to evaluate y equals 8, so 4 times 8, 32. Negative, and I would like that 8 put in parentheses, negative 20 divided by 8. Well, we can reduce that. 4 goes into each of these, so negative 5 over 2, and that would be your answer. 8 plus 43, that would be 51. 13 minus 8, that would be 5. Okay? Emily's saving $500 for a bicycle. She's already saved $120. How much more will she need to save? Simple subtraction. Remember, if we're trying to find a difference, we just subtract on that. She's got $120 in savings. How much more? 10 minus 2 is 8. Bring down the 0. 4 minus 1 is 3. So she needs to save $380 more. And I'd like you to put that in a sentence. Now it says, she saves $9 per week. How long is it going to take her? Well, that means 9 times your week needs to equal $380. Okay, we divide by 9 on each side. Your number of weeks will equal you have to go more than 42 weeks because you have some left over. So you would say she'll need to save for 43 weeks. Needs to save for 43 weeks. Okay, evaluate the expressions. This is following your order of operations. Pim does. So we do parentheses first, nothing inside the parentheses to do there, so we do the exponent. 5 times 5, because it's 5 squared. You do not multiply the 2 times 5 before you square the 5. Order of operations, we do the exponent first. So it's 2 times 25 minus 4. 50 minus 4. Our answer is 46. Make sure that you don't multiply that 2 times 5 first. That's a common error. Now on this one, the negative is not being raised to the second power, it's only the 7. So it's a negative 7 times 7, 49. That's another common error, is that students will bring that negative in. In this case, the negative is being squared because it shows it in parentheses, so it really is negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9. Evaluate for y equal 4, so you show 4 plugged in for the y value. We always plug it in parentheses, so 4 squared is 16, minus 6 is 10. 2 times 4 squared. Remember, do not multiply here before you raise that to the second. So you say 4 squared is 16, times 2 is 32. 10 times 4 plus 4 over 4 plus 1. 10 times 4 is 40, plus 4 is 44, over 5 plus 1 is 5, and it's fine with me if you leave that as an improper as long as it's reduced. Okay, use the distributive property. That's when we distribute things. Remember, I distributed candy in class. Negative 5y minus 80. I'm sorry, minus 40. 5 times 8, 40. Whew, I'm getting tired this morning with my mistakes. Okay, this time 1/3 times 4n would be 4n over 3, because the 1 times the 4n just makes it 4n, plus 1/3 times 12 would be 12 over 3. Now this one can reduce, so we have 4/3 n plus 4. Here we distribute by writing each over the divisor individually. There is distributive property of multiplication and distributive property of division. This is distributive property of division. So 2 over 4 can reduce to 1/2 n, plus 12 over 4 is 3. Now some of you might be looking at these two problems and saying, what's the difference between 4/3 times n and 4n over 3? There is no difference. They are the same value. So feel free to write it whichever way your brain likes. Okay, we're going to combine like terms. 7x and negative 9x are like terms. They would become negative 2x plus 8. 8 is not a like term because it does not have a variable that's identical. We distribute here, negative 7p cubed negative 7 times 3p squared is negative 21p squared. Negative 7 times negative 4 is positive 28, plus 4p squared minus 5. Look here, I don't have any other p cubed, so I go ahead and write that as my answer. Negative 7p cubed. Now I take my p squareds and I combine them. A negative 21 and a positive 4 I'll subtract. I get 17p squared. The number that is farthest from 0 is negative, so it's a negative 17p squared. I have opposite signs here, my positive 28, my negative 5. So I have to subtract them. That would be 23, and it's a positive because the positive 28 is farther from 0. So that is my answer. Find the unit rate. Remember unit rates in class we talked about a little bit? It is simply taking the rate given, 30 miles, over 5 hours, and reducing it to what it would be over 1 hour. If I go 30 miles in 5 hours, how far am I going per hour? That's what a unit rate means. I would just simply divide 5 into 30, and I would get 6 miles per hour. 420 miles with 8 gallons. Again, I just divide 8 into 420 goes into 40 5 times, so that would be 40. Subtract 20 goes into 20 twice, 16. I have 4 left over. I bring down the 0, or I can actually bring up the 4 and put it as 52 and 4/8, which is 52 and 1/2. Or I can bring up the 0.5, 52.5. Usually you'll see it written as 52.5 miles per gallon. And that's just a unit rate. Okay, your cell phone service charges $30. It includes 300 free minutes. I'd like to see you underline the important stuff. Okay, you pay an extra fee. 1 month you paid $5 for 15 extra minutes. What's your total bill if you have 21 extra minutes? Now don't forget we asked total bill. So if we pay $5 for 15 minutes, that's a rate. We want to know our unit rate so that we can figure out what it is for 21 minutes. There is another way that you do it, but I'm not going to show it to you right now. We already discussed it when we were in class. If you do it the other way, that's fine. So 15 minutes into $5, it would go 3, 45, 53. So they're going about 33 cents per minute. Because I'm not real fond of rounding that off, I want an exact bill. I would ask you to go with what we showed in class, which is to set it up as a proportion. 5 over 15 equals x over 21, being the dollars on top, the minutes on the bottom. Only when you have an equal sign between do you do that method. 5 times 21 is 105, equals 15x. Divide by 15 on each side. We'll still have to round it off, but it'll just be in one spot that we're rounding. So 15 goes into 105 about 6 times. 30. 6 times, oh actually, I think that's 7. 6 times 190, we subtract, we get 15, so that does tell us that it would have gone in there 7 times. So it would be $7 that we're charged for our 21 minutes. Now, don't give $7 as your answer because we asked for a total bill. Don't forget, we have a $30 charge before the minutes. So $37 is total bill. And remember, I like a full sentence when it's given in a word problem. Explain your answer. Basketball player scored 381 points last year. If the player plays 17 games and has an average of 18 points per game, will he beat last year's total? So we're wanting to know, is it going to be greater than 381? 17 times 18. 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 5 is 12, 0, 18, 6, 10, 306. It is not greater, so no, he will not score more points total. Okay. And again, stop the video, go back, look at what I'm doing. I'm just flying through some of this stuff. Identify the domain and range. Remember, domain is demand. He leads in the partnership. So the domain here would be all the leading numbers. Put them in order with the set sign. So we have, sorry, my pencil is dying. So we have -1, 2, 3, and 4. That's in order. Now on the range is the dependent. It follows the x value. We put those in order. We have 2, we have 6, and then we have 7 occurring twice. Don't list it twice. We never list it twice. Okay, those have to be in order and not listed twice. Here the domain is on the left-hand side, and it's already in order. -1, 2, 5, 7. And here the range is on the right-hand side. It's almost in order, 4, 6, and 8. Again, we don't list 8 twice. Identify if the relationship is a function or not. In class, we talked about the fact that x cannot cheat. If he shows up twice, we have to see if he's cheating. So we look here, -3, 2, 2, and -1. He does show up twice. Is he cheating? Here he shows up with 4, here he shows up with 5. He is cheating, so that's not a function. Over here, let's see if he shows up twice. We have -3, we have 5, we have 2, and we have -1. He doesn't show up twice. So that is a function. Okay. When you're making a table, you're just simply plugging in the x values for the x there and solving for y. So 3 times 10 is 30, minus 5 is 25. 3 times 12 is 36, minus 5 is 31. 3 times 18 is, just do it off to the side, 54. Minus 5 is 49. 3 times 20 is 60, minus 5 is 55. Now I also wanted you to see in standardized testing, sometimes they'll list them this way, and so I wanted you to get used to this. 10 being on the top, y would be on the bottom, 31, 49, and 55. So just get used to filling in tables either direction that they give them to you. Write the function rule. Well, here in class we discussed if you have a 0 column, that tells you how much is being added. So we have +4, and that means on each line it's a +4. See over here, there's nothing there, so you know that it's a +0. Okay, now we come back here. What would need to be added with 4 to get to 2? Well, that would be a -2. 0 to get from 4 to 4, 1 to get from 4 to 5, and 2 to get from 4 to 6. So we go backwards now. What do we need to multiply this by to get that? Well, all we need to multiply it by is 1. So it is a 1 times your x value. So the rule is 1x plus 4 equals y. And it works every time. 1 times 2 is 2, plus 4 is 6. So you can check it on every row. Here now we know that we're adding nothing, so we ask, well, what would we need to multiply -2 by to get to +6? That would be a -3 times x. Negative 3 times 0 would equal 0. Negative 3 times 1 would equal negative 3. And negative 3 times 2 would equal negative 6. So we have negative 3x. You can put plus 0 or leave it without, equals y. Okay. You are buying concert tickets at $15 each. There's a $6 charge on every order. I sometimes go to a T-chart to figure this out. So if I buy one ticket, I'm going to go 1 times 15 plus 6, that's going to cost me $21. If I buy 2 tickets, I'm going to go 2 times 15 plus 6, that's going to cost me $36. And now as I look up there, I see the 15 doesn't change, so it's a value that comes into my equation. The 6 doesn't change, nor does the plus. The only thing changing there is my x's. So I just kind of flip-flop those just for algebraic order here. Graphing a function, remember from class, the number not attached to x is your y-intercept. That's negative 3, so you come down to negative 3 on the y. That's your y-intercept. The number that is attached to x is your rise over run. We always rise, so we rise 4. From that point, we rise 4. And then we run 5 to the right. And that's where our line goes. If that were a negative, we would run 5 to the left. But it was a positive slope. And remember, positive slopes always rise to the right-hand side. Okay, last page. They're asking us to find which graph this is. Well, if we look at it, it's intercepting at a positive 3. So we check to see, are all the y-intercepts at positive 3? Yes. So now we know we're going to determine our slope as a determining factor for which one it is. We're rising 1, rise 1, and we're running 2, but we're running 2 to the left, so it has to be a negative. So now we look at our slopes. That's a negative 2 slope. That's not what we got. A positive 2 slope. That's not what we got. A negative 1/2. That is what we got. And double check the last one to make sure that we didn't make an error. That's a positive 1/2. That would have come up to the right. So it's not that one. Good luck on the test. Let me know if you have any questions.